Well, I ain't gonna lie to you, Carla. Our biggest weapon right now is Patrick Mahomes. I can't believe that we picked him up. He was a steal in the draft, and he's been nothing but lighting it up and putting some points on the board and winning some Super Bowls for us. Then we got Byron Pringle kicking the Steelers' ass. You're welcome.
Welcome to the Jungle, Bengals fans. I'm Kyle Phelps, and this is exactly what we all asked for. No matter what happens the rest of the year, the Cincinnati Bengals were a good football team in 2021. They clinched a winning season with the absolute demolition of the Baltimore Ravens JV squad last week, and now they have a chance to prove themselves as legit contenders in the AFC with a matchup against the current number 1 seed in the AFC, the Kansas City Chiefs. But before we get to that, I'd just like to ask that you like the video and subscribe to the channel if you're enjoying the content. Really helps my channel out, and it helps you be the first to know when we drop all of our new videos. You're definitely going to want to subscribe and check all of it out because we do these previews with our excellent team of correspondents like Chet, who we're going to talk to later. We do that before each Bengals game. We do reactions and recaps after the games, power rankings at the end of each NFL week, and Battle of Ohio podcast clips on the off days. So, this game against the Chiefs, it's definitely a bit of a daunting task. The Chiefs are a really good football team. They're the only team in the AFC so far to have clinched anything. I mean, the Bills, Patriots, Titans, Colts, they all have like a 90-something% chance of making the playoffs at this point. But, mathematically, the Chiefs are the only ones who literally cannot miss it now. So, it seems like a great opportunity for the Bengals to have kind of like a measuring stick game, right? If the Bengals lose, they can still go out and win the division with a victory over the Cleveland Browns next week. Actually, even if they lose both games, they still have a 17% chance to win the division. It's interesting. They would need the Steelers to beat the Browns this week, and the Ravens to lose to the Rams, and then the Ravens to beat the Steelers next week. And, on that note, they could still make the playoffs as a wild card team, although at that point it's a bunch of super complicated formulas for that to happen if the Bengals do lose out. The simplest way that I've found so far playing with all the simulators if the Bengals lose out is if the Bills, Chargers, Ravens, Browns, and Raiders all lose this week, and then the Bills lose to the Jets next week. Yeah. Weirdly enough, though, the Bengals can win the division even if they don't win another game this year. If the Ravens lose to the Rams, and then the Browns and Steelers tie this week, yes, seriously. The Bengals can clinch the division this week even if they lose to the Chiefs. But it involves the Steelers and Browns tie, and the Steelers have already tied once this year, so I mean, that seems pretty unlikely. Luckily, you can bypass all of that nonsense if you just go out there, handle business, and come away with the division clinching win. But it's not that simple, right? Now, this is the Kansas City Chiefs, after all. They've represented the AFC in the Super Bowl both of the last 2 years for a reason. Earlier this year, it was starting to look a little questionable as to whether or not they would actually hit the mark that they're expecting to, considering they started the season 3-4. But since then, they've rattled off 8 wins in a row. Now, they're on the verge of clinching the number 1 seed in the AFC with 2 games left to go in the season. They can do that this week if they win and the Titans lose. But if the Bengals win, there's a very slight possibility that the Bengals could steal a first-round bye. That's a 7% chance, according to 538, but it would require the Bengals winning out, the Chiefs also losing to the Broncos the following week, and then the Titans, Colts, and Patriots losing at least one of their next 2 games. But there is a chance. That said, the simplest way to have a chance at any of these good things happening is to simply beat the Chiefs this week. I think you're going to need to have Joe Burrow on his A game for that to happen. The Chiefs' biggest weakness right now appears to be their secondary, and the Bengals' wide receiver unit is arguably their biggest strength. And I think if Burrow, Chase, Higgins, Boyd, and Uzama can all be at their best this week and find a way to score every time they step on the field, and I think they have a shot to come away with a win this week. Now, if it turns into a defensive game, I don't believe the Bengals are going to win. And it's not that I don't believe in the Bengals defense, but I don't think I believe in the Bengals offense's ability to overcome a strong performance by the opposing defense before Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs figure it out. My biggest concern, though, is Travis Kelce. I know he's coming off of COVID, and that usually affects players' abilities the next week or two after suffering those symptoms, but the Bengals are going to be missing Jermaine Pratt because of COVID this week. Logan Wilson's been at full practice all week, so, hopefully they'll be getting them back, and that'll be fantastic. But that only leaves one of the Bengals' 3 starting linebackers available for this game. So I worry about their ability to contain the best tight end in the NFL. That said, we've already seen the Bengals go toe-to-toe with one of the best offenses in the NFL this year with the Green Bay Packers. Were it not for a rare missed field goal from Legatron, Evan McPherson, the Bengals would have won that game. Granted, they were only in position to win that game because of a missed field goal from Mason Crosby in the first place, but the point is, they were in that game until the final seconds. So, the idea of them having a chance to beat the Kansas City Chiefs this week doesn't sound too far off. So, to help us preview this game against the Kansas City Chiefs, we've got another new correspondent to the show. His name's Chet, and he runs Chet's Certified Chiefs Cholesterol Cast, sponsored by RibVPN. Say what's up, Chet.
Yeah, what's up, Kyle? Thanks for having me on. I love the Bengals and I love the Chiefs. Can't wait to play you guys next week.
Awesome, Chet. I got to admit, it's refreshing talking to somebody with a pretty positive attitude after having to deal with Reggie and Dan so much this year. But, so why don't you give the audience a little bit of insight on what it's like being a Kansas City Chief fan over the years?
Well, I ain't gonna lie to you, Kyle. Joe Montana being on the team was actually pretty fun for a little bit. Never won anything with us, but, yeah, we ended up going to the playoffs a few years ago, and then we blew that 31-10 lead to the fucking Colts. That was horse shit. At least we got Mahomes now. Now we're winning Super Bowls, and I gotta tell you, it feels pretty nice winning as a Chiefs fan these days.
Yeah, I'm kind of hoping the Bengals can get to the levels that the Chiefs have gotten to recently. It seems like it's the transcendent quarterback is always a good jump start for a franchise that's trying to take that next step. So, we got Joe Burrow now, and we're hoping Joe Burrow can, be like our Patrick Mahomes. Which kind of more or less brings me to my next question. How would you say the Chiefs' season's been going so far this year?
Well, I ain't gonna lie to you, Kyle. We started off like shit. Had no defense. Pat Mahomes throwing interceptions. Now, actually, we're doing pretty good. I'd say we're not doing no dang bad. I'd say we're, putting up some points. We're writing off a whole bunch of straight wins and kicking our Raiders' ass. That's all that fucking matters here in Kansas City. Kicking our Raiders' ass, and hopefully we'll kick your ass next week, but in a fun way. I don't hate the Bengals, except that time we kicked your ass in Kansas City a couple of years ago. That was fun.
No, that wasn't fun for us at all. I believe you're talking about that time that we had that game back on Monday Night Football back in 2018 or something like that, and y'all beat us 45-10, and it really sucked because we got out to a pretty good start that year. After that game, we did beat the Bucs under pretty questionable circumstances, and then we lost 7 of our last 8 games to finish 6-10. That game was kind of like the beginning of the end. But you know what? You know what was fun though? That beatdown y'all had on the Steelers last week. Thank you for that, by the way. I was actually in Pittsburgh during that game, and I got to enjoy the suffering of the Steelers fans firsthand, all while munching on a delicious Primanti's Reuben. Although I will say, they were missing both Travis Kelce and Tyreek Hill last week, 2 of their most important offensive weapons. How did they overcome that and still dominate?
Well, I ain't gonna lie to you, Kyle. Our biggest weapon right now is Patrick Mahomes. I can't believe that we picked him up. He was a steal in the draft, and he's been nothing but lighting it up and putting some points on the board and winning some Super Bowls for us. Then we got Byron Pringle kicking the Steelers' ass. You're welcome. And Mecole Hardman's doing pretty good. I have to say we're doing pretty good now. Next man up, that's the culture of Kansas City. Next man up, and their numbers called. They're showing up, and I have to say I'm pretty proud of the boys for doing what they're supposed to be doing.
That's true, they are. Particularly that defense, man. They've only allowed opposing teams to score more than 20 points once during your 8-game win streak. There's been a lot of games where they've actually held them under 10 points, and like multiple games, 3 or 4 at least. So, what would you say has been their key to success during that stretch?
Well, I ain't gonna lie to you, because we keep forcing turnovers on the defensive side of the ball. I think we've done like 2 per game in this 8-game win streak. Part of the reason why we destroyed them Steelers. You're welcome. And yeah, I think we forced 3 turnovers that game. That was one hell of a game, and hopefully we're gonna do the same to you guys. Even though, like I said, I like you guys, and you're welcome for beating the Steelers. Thank you.
Yeah. Again, y'all helped make my vacation awesome, so I do appreciate that. But you keep talking about kicking our ass, and I think I'm not going to like the Chiefs too much more after that. But anyway, what would you say that the Bengals should try to do this week if they're going to come away with a win?
Well, I'm going to lie to you, Kyle. Our biggest weakness right now is our secondary. I don't know if we're making many interceptions, but I think we're like the 4th worst in the league in terms of 40-yard plus plays allowed. Tyrann Mathieu's actually pretty good. I like watching him play, but he can't do it alone, man. We got to get these cornerbacks doing their jobs, man. I think the way you're going to have to beat us is throw the ball down the field. And I ain't going to lie to you. I think Joe Burrow's going to throw for a lot of yards. I think he's going to throw for like 500 yards again. But hey, remember that one game against the Chiefs and the Rams where both quarterbacks threw for a fuck ton of touchdowns? And that was a good fucking game. We might have that game, so you might have to, score 40 points on us. Probably going to be pretty easy. Our defensive line's not too bad, so running the ball ain't going to be too good for you guys, but I anticipate this to be a very good football game.
Right on, man. I think it's going to be a good one, too. You want to give me a prediction on the game?
Well, I ain't going to lie to you, Kyle. I think we're on that 8-game winning streak, and I don't see any reason why that should end. I think we're going to win against you guys probably, 35-27. It's going to be a high-scoring game. I think we're going to have a lot of good stuff going on in this game. You guys cannot cover tight ends. I saw that game you guys played against the Ravens. Mark Andrews had a good game, and then that game against the 49ers. Not Travis Kelce. Who's that motherfucker's name? He's the 49ers. Travis Kelce had a really good game against you guys, and the Chiefs. Travis Kelce gonna have a good game against you guys too. He's gonna catch for 525 yards, 3 touchdowns.
Chet, I believe the name you're looking for is George Kittle.
George Kittle, that's the guy. I knew a guy who went to high school with his sister's brother's former roommate.
That sure is a coincidence, I guess. But anyway, Chet, you planning on coming up to Cincinnati for the game?
I ain't never been up there to Cincinnati. It's awful cold where you guys are at, but I don't know. I think I'll make my way up for the game. I've never been to what's that? Paul Blart Stadium. I've never been down there. I think I'll give it a shot. Try your chili. Looks good.
Paul Blart Stadium. What kind of dumbass comes up with something stupid like that? Well, anyway, Chet, I appreciate you coming on, man. Best of luck to your team in every week but this one.
Well, I ain't gonna lie to you, Kyle. This sure was fun, and I hope you invite me on when we meet in the playoffs.
Oh, definitely. For sure, man. I'll see you later. Well, that was fun. But anyway, guys, I really appreciate you watching this episode of Welcome to the Jungle. So, thank you so much for watching. You can always find more of what I do at KylePhelps92 on Twitter, Facebook.com/ThePhelps, my Bengals coverage at ATBNetwork.com/Cincinnati Bengals, the Battle of Ohio podcast, which is available on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts, and right here if you subscribe. But anyway, guys, that's all I got for this one. So I'll leave y'all, as always, with a hootie!